Hi, Bright Idea family. Welcome back to our channel. Listen, I want to take a second to ask you to do three things for me. If you are really enjoying this content and you're finding that this is helpful, I want you to like, subscribe, and share. How can we make this practical and use this at home? Okay. I have some ideas, but I bet you, because all of you are such amazing parents, I bet you are already using some of these things at home. When we talked about reading last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, we talked about some of the things that actually are nature-based learning that do make sure that their artistic and creativity come shining through music and movement, mindfulness and meditation. Tell me in the chat, I'm looking, what are some of the things that you do as parents to help your children make the connections between the things that they are learning and um, the ways that they learn, the things that they learn and the ways that they learn. Well, I see you all being very sociable in the chat. Yay. Give me some of these things. Let's see. What are the things that you do? I plan to get some shaving cream and practice writing at home as I notice my toddler likes to do letters. That's amazing, B Hall. And that's true. And it's okay. So for those of you who are like having an anxiety attack because you're like shaving cream and writing on what? That sounds like a mess to be made. It's easy to clean up. It smells good, and the children absolutely love it. And that is a great way for them to practice writing their letters. They find things like that to be, just too much fun. I mean, what child doesn't want to make a mess? Yes, by doing dance, math, and science, by writing. Yes, by doing these things through song. Sometimes you can pull the YouTube videos up and they can show them some of these things. If you have a child who's not verbal and you're trying to teach your child to make connections, you'll be using some visual supports in addition to making sure they understand how to express their feelings through their either sign language or through their verbal supports. You'll be using, making sure they understand how to communicate with other people who are verbal, even though they're nonverbal, so they can make those connections in that way too. It goes both ways, my friends. Yep. You can find a little tray at the dollar store. The dollar store is a teacher's dream. We go there and find all kinds of things. I have cards and things over here now that we use when I'm working with the students online. So we talked about some of the ways that you can use rhythm and music. You start doing this with children when they're very small. I don't know about you. I'm not all that great when it comes to the noise making. But some parents love to get the pots and pans out and let those children sit there and make up their beats on the pots and pans, or to stack those pots and pans and unstack those pots and pans. I talked last week about my nephew who can pretty much take anything apart. He's still working on the part where he puts it all back together, but he can take it apart for you. And so, that's another way in the nature-based learning to help students kind of make those connections. Like they may not know what this trinket is for, but they know that if they take it out, whatever it is stops working. And they can figure out, and they will figure it out. I do love the artistic side of learning when you're using the shaving cream, because if they're making those letters, sometimes you see them make letters, sometimes you'll see them make different shapes in the shaving cream. They will do their numbers, they'll start to recognize their names. Painting is another way. It teaches them their colors. And as they mature and develop, they start to make those colors into things that we start to recognize out in the world. Going on a scavenger hunt is a really great way to connect with nature and how things work. and to help your child make those connections. You know, in stories, sometimes they can be very descriptive, and you could take that story and read it out and have your child paint or draw or build what they think that that image in the story that they describe might look like. And you know, with this new age of AI, you know, AI can do the same thing. So you could type the information into an AI app and it will print out the picture, and you could have your child compare their picture to what AI has drawn based on the words that were in that story. And these are just great ways at home to kind of get them interested in the learning. You know, with my daughter studying, like I said, the Holocaust, they're very descriptive in some of the reading. And I wonder if she put some of that into AI, what images would come out of it. Or because they do talk about what the camps looked like, you know, they do talk about the clothes that people wore. They even try to describe the smells, you know, what does cinnamon smell like? You actually have cinnamon in your pantry. You probably can just go and have your child smell that smell. Or when they talk about a dog shaking off the water, you could splash them with a little water so that they can feel that. You know, sometimes when you go into amusement parks, they have what they call the 3D rides for children. So they can get on the ride, and the ride not only takes them up and down, but when there's wind blowing, you have a fan blowing on them so they get to feel the air. If the ride is shaking, their seat is shaking, so they get to feel that. And the ride is actually stationary. They're not moving, but their mind, you can trick the mind into believing this is really happening because the image and is so real and the feelings match it that they can experience the ride in a much safer way, but in a way that lets them fully engage in what's happening in the experience of it. And one big thing that has been talked about a lot is how busy our children's brains are and how much time they need to process information. They're getting so much information in at one time, they need time to kind of pause and figure out what all of this means. That's where mindfulness and meditation comes in. This is an opportunity for us to slow things down for our children, to give them an opportunity to think through the things that they have encountered or experienced in the course of the day, and to allow them to process that information and put it where it needs to go. Sometimes that happens when they're sleeping in their dreams, you know, if they can remember. Most of the time at night when we're sleeping, we're processing information, but you don't have to be asleep to do that. We can actually teach our children calmness. We can teach them to settle in the moment. And so in the moment is a great time to help them learn how to be mindful and how to be meditative. It also helps them to make connections that we talked about before, like the intuitive and the emotional. It helps them to gather their feelings about a certain thing and how to manage what their thoughts are about that. So these are things that we can do at home. And sometimes we can do this through working out. You know, working out, stretching is a good way to calm a child down in a fun way. Some people like to do yoga. It really just depends. Going for a walk can be relaxing for some, or even a run. You know, my son was very young. We used to go run together. So it helps to get your child involved in these activities because it sets the pace for their learning. They learn to settle themselves. They learn how to calm down. They learn how to be in a moment instead of letting a moment run them, which helps them in other ways too. Okay. All right. So let me pause again. Let me go check these comments and questions. Anything in here that I missed? Hope not. Trying to stay mindful of all of you who are here tonight. So those are some ways, some practical ways that we can go through the other senses, the other ways that children learn, and to put those things into practice. The last thing I want to talk about is making sure that to bring home the importance of this, that what do we need to do going forward? You know, this is something that you can actually, share with your child's teacher to help them understand ways that they can make this applicable even in the classroom when it comes to your child. So I talked about the diversity and inclusion part of it. You know, we have classrooms now that has all types of learners, some learners with disabilities and some without. But we all want to respect how the students learn. And we call that the way to do that is through differentiation. That's what that is. But it's actually taking information and presenting it in different ways based on how children learn. So if we have children who need to learn information through um, through the five senses, that's fine. But if we can address a multisensory type learning, we've differentiated the learning so that someone else can be able to access it even better and even more. If we have tied that to an emotional connection, or we've tied it into their intuition, or we've tied it into their environment or their movement, their body, their space, then we've taken that concept and we've addressed it across all the areas of learning. And you'll start to see how learning in these different ways impacts your child's connection to themselves and to each other, but it also develops in them sympathy for other people because they begin to connect in that way, and empathy because they've experienced some of the things, and so they begin to connect in that way. And that's important for learning. It's important for all of us to build those connections and make learning more more real, more apparent for us all. All right, so that's pretty much it when it comes to learning beyond the five senses. That sixth sense is actually about 4 or 5 more senses, but you can make sure that you're addressing all the different ways that your child learns, so that will help them do better in school and help them not only academically, but socially. It'll help them internally as well. So this is an opportunity for you to ask questions about how you can either put this into practice in your own, or if you have questions about understanding, we're going to hang out here just a little while longer to answer any questions or to make those connections. But I wanted to let you know before we go that yes, our next topic is going to be about money management. We're going to have a banker come here and actually tell us some information about how we can make the most of the funds that we have. And then I also want to encourage you to do your survey. Many times when you leave the Zoom, the survey will automatically pop up. You can do it there. We love for you to scan here. We give you plenty of opportunities to make sure that you're doing your surveys so that we know what kind of content to bring you as we move forward, what ways we can make this training even better. Just that's how we got this chat going. Before, everybody was chatting just to me directly. We were like, no, they want to talk to each other. Let's figure out how we can do that. So there you go. All right, so I'm looking in the chat while we're here to see if I have any questions. The survey link has also been placed in here. So if you don't know how to scan with your phone, you're just like, just click the link in the chat. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions. You know what, that lets me know that we did an awesome job going over this information tonight. While you're here with us, go ahead and connect with us. We're on social media. You'll see videos about all different types of things that we teach on. Even probably some snippets on these videos will be on there. So make sure you connect with us on social media and follow us for more information on different topics. Well, ladies and gents, if you don't have any questions about the things that we've talked about tonight, I'm not going to hold you here any longer. I want to thank you for joining us for tonight's presentation of Learning Beyond the Five Senses. I hope you had a chance to download your workbook and take some good notes on that and ways that you can enhance your child's learning at home to support with their learning in school. I hope you found the information helpful, and I hope to see you next time for money management. All right, you guys take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.